Ah, Slitterhead. Been looking forward to this title since it was first announced. A brand new action horror project helmed by Keiichiro Toyama? Hell yeah. Dude made so many things I love. Silent Hill, Gravity Rush, and Siren, which I recently played. Though I haven't finished it yet, please understand it's very difficult, but I still love it. It's then pretty understandable with how much of a shithole Sony has been that Toyama would leave the company to start his own development studio, Bokeh Game Studio. On one hand, becoming an independent studio meant they wouldn't get that big Sony money. But on the other hand, not having to appeal to Sony shareholders meant they could do whatever kind of crazy stuff they wanted. And that's what I love about the AA market. Since the budget is smaller, there's less worry in having to appeal to the mass market in hopes of making a profit. And while there can be a lack of polish from that budget, the spirit is nonetheless there. So it's this area that forges weird little gems and cult classics. So with all that exposition taken care of, let's look at Slitterhead. From the previews I'd see of the game, I could tell it drew a lot from Toyama's previous works, taking the visuals and aesthetics of his older horror titles, and mixing them with the over-top fantastical tone of the Gravity Rush themes, coming together to form a campy horror flick in game form. An aspect that I enjoy in all of Toyama's works are the vibes within them. From the foreboding atmosphere of Silent Hill and Siren, to the epic and chill parts of Gravity Rush. So it was something that I was hoping to see in Slitterhead. And goddamn, the vibes did not disappoint. The neon-lit streets, crowded commerce centers, and towering buildings acting as a playground to explore. It's got some of that cityscape exploration charm of Gravity Rush, but with the grungy atmosphere of Silent Hill. You certainly can feel the budget limitations in some presentation. Animations can be limited, as do certain visuals, and voice acting is only used sparingly. But none of these limitations are felt in the environments themselves. Rarely did I notice any signs or stores being repeated, which made the city of Kowloon feel all the more lived in and real. Big props to the art and graphic design team for pulling this off. Yo, peep this food.png. And look at these low poly fruits. Aww. What I appreciate about the city of Kowloon is how it embraces the dingy, grimy aspects of urban life in the 80s and 90s. The world here faces real issues, crime, homelessness, and despite the plot being ridiculous, I mean there's a Slitterhead mafia for God's sake, the characters themselves feel grounded. The one-on-one conversations and dialogues portraying these people as just that, normal-ass people. Each of them having their own history and desires, letting us know how they deal with the harsh reality of this world. And that's something I appreciate about Toyama's works. The way they throw ordinary people in horrifying situations. In a time where the action heroes of Resident Evil were the face of survival horror, Silent Hill had you playing as a goofy, soft-spoken dad trying to find his daughter. Or in Siren, where the whole ensemble of characters consist of average, ordinary people, who just so happen to find themselves in these supernatural circumstances. It makes the characters in these games feel down to earth in a way that I find compelling. Another element of Slitterhead's aesthetic is in its visual body horror, particularly with the titular Slitterheads themselves. There's all these transformation sequences where people are contorted into monsters and such, and while they're never really scary, they're a spectacle to watch and enjoyably campy. All the Slitterheads have such great designs, and I like that they take inspiration from different animals, with some resembling mantids, seahorses, and even octopuses. There's also these worm guys that are phallically shaped, and it's just funny. And these small beetle guys are honestly kinda cute. Just look at this little guy. But on the whole, the monster designs are fun, and contribute to my enjoyment of the gameplay. Before Slitterhead's release, what intrigued me the most about the gameplay was the body possession mechanic. Using a similar reticle to Siren, you can possess a person within range, and switch between other bodies on the fly. A simple tap of the button does a quick, snappy possession, while holding the button down allows you to freely move and search for hosts in your ghost form. It's surprisingly intuitive, and makes way for interesting puzzles and platforming challenges. It gets you to take in your surroundings, and gauge how you can move around areas without traversing them on foot. Where the body possession really shines though is in the chase sequences. There's such a thrill in chasing down a Slitterhead and swapping between nearby bodies to catch up with them. The gravity rush influence is felt the most here, with the scale of the environments you run through being impressive. Dashing through busy streets and alleyways, leaping across rooftops and signs. It's an exhilarating experience. Sometimes these chase sequences are preceded by needing to search for the Slitterhead. And yo, they got sightjacking straight from Siren! If you don't know, sightjacking is the mechanic where you switch to the perspective of a nearby enemy, and use the information you gather to find out where they are. The way it's implemented in Slitterhead is neat, because in Siren you mostly use sightjacking as a way to avoid enemies. But here, you're actively hunting the enemy down. It effectively recontextualizes the mechanic to fit with the new actiony tone, and we love to see that. Another major aspect of the gameplay is the combat. And despite how janky and simple it may appear, I found it to be pretty fun. You've got a typical 3-hit combo, along with a charge attack, a guard, and a button to absorb blood pools around you. Blood is pretty important, since it acts as both your health and as energy for certain moves. There's also this parry mechanic that I found engaging. While guarding, you have to flick the right stick in the direction of these indicators on screen. And with good timing, you can go into the slowdown mode to rack in extra hits. You've also got these abilities for each character, ranging from projectile attacks to different kinds of buffs and setups. My favorite character to play as is probably Ito. The attack buff you get with him is crazy, making short work of opponents. I also enjoyed playing as Tri, as she can set up a bunch of blood pools that are helpful in maintaining health, while still racking in hits. If you couldn't tell from my character choices, I love being able to punch motherfuckers in the face. The body swapping adds a whole other layer to the combat, as you gain temporary buffs for every time you switch to a different host. This encourages a playstyle where you frequently switch between characters whenever you get the chance, and it leads to a really engaging combat system. There's an almost tactical feel to the way you manage everything, needing to pay attention to the cooldown timers of your abilities, as well as maintain the health of civilians around you, especially since you can damage them yourself. Hell, it pretty much becomes Pikmin when you're playing as Anita. Similar to Gravity Rush, there's also stat upgrades that you have for the main cast of characters, ranging from weapon buffs to passive abilities that you unlock with skill points that you earn after missions. These were surprisingly easy to level up, considering you have 8 characters to manage. Might have been that I found a bunch of these bonus skill points from exploring levels, which I guess makes it a good incentive to explore. Okay, so this dude is British, and these are what his abilities are called. And all I can think is just him yelling out, "A bloody shot, a bloody gamble, a bloody mine." And don't blame me for thinking this. He genuinely speaks in these guttural British noises.
Right.
While the combat was the main point of interest in previews, I was pleasantly surprised to find these investigation sections to be part of the game. It further encourages to take in the atmosphere of the cityscape, and provides more detail about the people within. I enjoyed the mood that it creates, feeling as though you're peeling away the grimy layers of this world. It's also interesting how they used the possession mechanic for some puzzles, with having to switch to other civilians to access areas and information. Stealth was another thing I wasn't expecting, which is foolish on me, considering stealth was a major component of Siren. It's pretty simple here. As long as you're not in direct line of sight of an enemy, you're basically invisible. The possession mechanic yet again adds more depth, since you can leave your body to view where enemies are in your proximity, making stealth way more engaging than it would have been otherwise. Even in a bloody action title like this, they still let you take it slow and chill the heck out. And I appreciate the contrast. These elements are strung together in a mission structure, where they're categorized over the course of 3 days. It's kinda similar to Siren, where each area is segmented by a mission. And just like Siren, there are also secrets hidden throughout the levels, containing characters to unlock, hidden collectible memories, and shrines to test you with challenging combat encounters. Now, when I first saw that the missions only took place over 3 days, I thought, how are they gonna squeeze a whole 15-hour game out of this? Then they revealed that Julie got sent back in time to the first day, and my mind was blown. Time looping? They got Siren-style time looping? With time looping, you'll revisit older levels, but with new objectives, enemy encounters, and a myriad of other changes. It breathes more familiarity into the environments, and is a smart use of the limited budget. It's also cool in context of the story, since you'll revisit levels after receiving new information, altering the mood and continuing the story in each area. But yeah, that story certainly is something. I've already talked about the themes and characters, and those are well done. But the story itself is kind of all over the place. It feels as though Toyama just wanted to throw in everything he thought was cool without consideration for how cohesive it would be. And don't get me wrong, I respect that kind of mindset. I mean, there's a nurse named Lisa and siren time looping. It's too crazy not to be interesting. Not to spoil anything, but the last third of the game goes into a different direction than what I was expecting, becoming a bit more psychological and existential. It's interesting, but it definitely could have been paced more naturally. There's a point that feels like it should be the climax with how it's built up, but the story kept going on for another 5 hours. And despite the cool twists throughout, I ended up feeling tired by the end. Doesn't help that around this time, the design of missions start to become a bit draining, with an endless stream of combat encounters not broken up by other activities. This feeling is probably intentional, given the concept and themes explored near the end, but it does sour the experience a bit. Who knows, maybe if I had played in shorter sessions, I would have felt less burnt out by the end. Okay, so here's some nice details I enjoyed that I didn't know where else to put. I really like how fixed camera angles are used to indicate the boundaries of a level. It's a visually creative way to signify them. I also enjoy the sound design in menus, especially this one sound effect that sounds straight out of Silent Hill. Actually, I should mention the music, which is great. If having Toyama at the helm wasn't enough, they also got Akira Yamaoka to collaborate on the OST. There's a nice range in the music, with ambient tracks setting the mood, gritty guitar and synth tracks punctuating the action set pieces, and whatever this is greeting you on the title screen. My favorite song is the one that plays during the intermission menu. It's a nice reprieve from the main missions, but it also felt like it was messing with me with the random grunting noises that play, making the track stick in my mind. So yeah. Slitterhead can kind of fumble a bit in its ambition, but goddamn if it doesn't exude passion. You can feel the excitement in the ideas explored, and how interested Toyama was with the real-life location of Kowloon. Looking at the review scores from mainstream critics though, it definitely shows that it ain't for everyone, which just reaffirms my mind that Slitterhead is for the freaks. The kind of people that can look past the jank and quirks that alienate general audiences, and appreciate the qualities that set it apart from others. And as a certified Slitterhead freak, I look forward to what Bokeh Game Studios got next up their sleeve. Again, not to spoil anything, but there is a teaser at the end revealing that the story might continue, so it certainly is a possibility. Anyways, that's it from me. See ya.